The spirit of cricket, Australia will definitely make it. Sandpaper, whatabouteries, hypocrites, racists and disgraces. These are all arguments that no one is having here, but one must deal with on the internet from every other country, especially if you're invested in a T20 World Cup in June in the Caribbean at 1 a.m. Crime war. Tree falling in the woods kind of gear or time for serious concern? Do we not care until we do? Are we ever happy? Do we need scapegoats or TV guides? Are we salty or is a lack of reaction authentic? Are we actually crying or are the Swans just playing really good footy right now? Can Latrell actually make a difference in Origin 2 tonight? Yes, Australia crashed out of the World Cup thanks to consecutive losses to Afghanistan and India, and then Bangladesh rolling out one of the all-time gas trucks, coupled with Gulbadine popping a hamstring at first slip before becoming the first Afghani sprinter to make the men's 100-metre final at the Olympics. See, we do care. Or was that actually just really funny? That's the end of the road for Dave Warner in an Australian shirt. What does it mean? Did he make enough runs for us in the right time zones against the right opponents? Or will the 3.5, what's he like as a bloke with a twist, degree of difficulty, mean that he'll end his career off the podium as one of Australia's all-time greats? How many runs did he need for us to forgive his sins? Fuck me, I can't wait for the book Come Nuclear Codes, forward by Peter Dutton. Is it South Africa's time this time? Can Afghanistan's dream run continue? Or will India revenge their 10-wicket loss in the semi-final, the same semi-final, 2 years ago against England? Will that actually be the tonic to losing the unlosable World Cup last time round? These are just questions. Who has the answers? Oh no, Daddy, the man on the internet said a joke about my team. It's all to play for. It's all to pay for Kane Williamson. See what I did there? Who turns down a central contract with New Zealand. It's not great news for our friends across the ditch as the walls continue to close in on everything we once knew. Maybe that's a good thing, but my God, Pezza, we had some good times, didn't we? This episode is brought to you by our dearest of dear friends, BUDGY Smuggler. Use the code GRADE, GRADE, for 23% off their underwear and apparel. That's valid until the end of June. Go to budgysmuggler.com right now. budgysmuggler.com right now. Go and look at it. Go and look at the gear. Go and look at it. budgysmuggler.com. Use the code GRADE, 23% off underwear and apparel. budgysmuggler.com. Go and look at it. Pezza, how you feeling?
Mate, hell of a show coming up. Gotta say. A few headlines in front of me here. Blues filthy over Slater move as Origin saga takes another twist. Considerable care. Dangers shock AFL tribunal win despite key tackle admission. An Australian Test cricket hero Scott Boland to play vital role at home club Frankston Peninsula.
See, cricket's in the news.
Cricket's in the news.
Cricket's
Code
in the news.
Sports. Respect. Just shout out to us as well a couple of weeks ago.
Respect, man.
How do I feel? That's a trap. It's a trap. It's a trap.
Yeah, it's a trap.
It's a trap.
You can't win.
We were just talking off air before this show began. Generally speaking, what we call the main podcast, this podcast, the kind of the long, indulgent, roll in the meadows of what's happening in cricket.
Narrow meadows.
Is ostensibly most consumed by our Australian and English audience. And
Kiwis.
And Kiwis, I should say. Yes, that's right. No, that's true.
You know what? We've never cracked the South African audience.
Yes.
We've never had an audience there. I mean, there'll be like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Australians can be talking too much about audiences for cricket at the moment, but...
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, but I know that because of circumstances in the game at the moment, most of the consumers of this show, as it lands on YouTube, will not be from Australia or England. And so anything you say around how you feel is going to be picked up and spun into the truth that we've been crying.
And clipped up and put on websites like Out of Context Cricket.
Yeah.
That kind of gear.
Yeah, so how do I feel? I mean, we're going to get into the Aussie stuff, right?
Yeah.
You know, like there's a lot of contradictions and not complex, but contrasting emotions that go alongside and analyses that goes alongside Australia not being in the World Cup anymore. You know, like walk and chew gum stuff, hold two competing ideas at the same time, which we'll get into. Otherwise, I feel Good, because we're going to Origin tonight.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that. People might be listening tomorrow, you know. Who knows what will happen, really. But
hamstrings everywhere. Rain strings.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Next week, you'll get access to 3+ hours of the best of Patreon from the last 100 episodes starting on Tuesday. 1 episode a day for 3 days. You get 1 hour of the best of #AskTGC Fridays. You have to sign up to Patreon to get it. Patreon.com/Great Cricketer. This Friday coming will be episode 200 of #AskTGC Fridays. Monday will be the final podcast of this World Cup series. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday will be the best of Patreon for the last 100 episodes. Then Friday will be episode 201 of #AskTGC Fridays. And then every Friday after that, it will be exclusively on Patreon. It will not be on the free feed. If you want it, you have to sign up to Patreon at patreon.com/Great Cricketer. If you're in the UK and you want more TGC to get you through your summer, that's the only place we'll be talking about cricket and cricket-adjacent things until the Australian summer starts. So please do join us for the Hall of Fame week next week after the World Cup final, the main podcast, then 3 days in a row, 1 hour each of the best of our gear on Patreon there. So that's how you do it. That's how you sign up. If you want to sign up for it and support TGC, that's how you go about and do it. So please do join us over there.
And we've been edging our members on this Hall of Fame.
As you edge the mic boom.
Yeah, it just makes me feel better. And also pat it like a kitten. Yeah. We've been edging people on this for a long time. Like, we've been talking up this Hall of Fame for a
couple of months.
God, feel like, yeah, nearly half a year, really. Charlie's put it together. You weren't here last week. We had Gideon on, sitting in your chair right now, listening to me go through the titles of some of those episodes, like that might make it, that are in the shortlist. African Gypsy Dad Dick, Ben Roberts-Smith, Pissing Up Walls. I think I just made that one up. Umpire's Milk, etc. And as you say, we'll be taking a break from bulk content after next week, other than Patreon. Patreon is where you get us. And if you want to come join that edgelord party of the Hall of Fame,
please do come along. Yeah. Just another shout out for the Olympics on TGC as well. The morning after Paris, 17 days in a row, starting from, I guess, the opening ceremony on July 27th. Probably should do one before then.
Maybe earlier.
Just to wet the whistle. Get the juices flowing.
Mate, juices already flowing too.
Yeah.
Big response on announcing it last week. Got to say.
My whistle is wet.
It just agrees with the Australian spirit, the Olympics. Like it somehow it stirs the soul, the thirst for gold. And I got to shout out friend of the show, Tom Decent, who's already doing a power of work in the 9 papers.
Yes,
this is not an ad. There's no sponsor here. Just shout out to Tom Decent, who's already wetting the whistle of the nation.
Tom Decent's sponsoring the show.
Well,
if he wants to.
He's got an article out the other day going top 20 Olympic moments in Australia, and I implore people to look at it in the 9 papers just for the pictures, pictures only.
Yeah.
Look at Emma McKeon dripping in medals at Tokyo, wearing every single medal.
Fuck yeah.
She won.
Yeah.
Somehow that just touched. I don't know. It probably speaks to a vanity and a superficiality in Australia.
Yeah.
Australia is is culturally very rich. We just choose not to look at 60,000 years of it now. But in its place, gold. And medals around the neck.
Yep.
Now I'm more for the former, but in its absence for the nation,
at the same time,
Emma McKeon just wearing every medal she won, that's doing a lot for me.
If an Australian team walks out at an opening ceremony wearing Mambo-inspired gear, well, I'm sorry, but what am I supposed to do?
That's right.
Yeah,
colour me interested. You got images of Cook and Pothurst.
Yeah. Beach volleyball. Come on,
mate. In year 2000, I went down to Manly Beach with my mates a few months after that, and they bumped into Natalie Cook and Kerry Pothurst. I was in the water. I was in the drink.
Yeah.
I was in the surf, and I was so gutted to have missed out on meeting them because again, this is a nation that was savagely shown to be divided during COVID, state versus state, mate versus mate, etc. That's Dan Andrews stuff. But the Olympics does bind the nation. This is what we're going to be covering. What about 2004 Athens, 200-meter men's free? Thorpe, Phelps, Hackett in the pool, and Thorpe touches it out. Kathy Freeman. Tom Decent's got another article out. I'm sorry just to labour on this, but we're going to be going hard on the Olympics. Yeah. This is the headline. The USA's Olympic trials have finished. Australia's stars have work to do. Oh, does that not touch her?
Jesus
Does that
Christ.
stir? Does that stir the Lords?
I'm in the drink this afternoon.
Mate, and it starts with Australia's goal of beating the USA in an Olympic swimming competition for the first time in 68 years. Mate, I'm so there. Oh, just making noises. It's going to be a noise-based show.
Yeah, getting another Southern Cross tattoo as we speak.
Anyway, that's another show we're doing.
Let's talk about the World Cup. Australia knocked out. Ramifications, what does it mean?
Deluxe.
What does it mean, Pezza? Australia knocked out of the World Cup. Can I just give you a bit of a rundown of Australia's history in T20 World Cups? Can I start us there?
I think it's a great place to start.
2007 in South Africa, Australia knocked out in the semis. Also lost their first game against Zimbabwe in that tournament. 2009 in England, Australia didn't make it out of their group of West Indies and Sri Lanka. Should say at this point, every time there's a World Cup, they all have different constructs and different paths to get to the place that you want to get to. But anyway, point remains. 2010 in the West Indies lost to England in the final, of course. 2012 in Sri Lanka, Aussies lost to Windies in the semi-final. 2014 in Bangladesh, Australia didn't make it out of the group and won 1 game out of 4. 2016 in India, Australia didn't make it to the semi-finals, knocked out in the Super 10s in that year. 2021, 5 years later, Australia won it in the UAE, of course. 2022 in Australia, Australia didn't make it out of the group. 2023 in the West Indies, Australia didn't get out of the Super 8s. There have been 13 50-over World Cups, and there's been 9 T20 World Cups. The first 6 were in the space of 9 years. Australia's won. I think that's relevant in terms of people's appreciation in this country of T20s. Australia's won 6 of 13 50-over World Cups, of course, and they've won 1 of 9 T20 World Cups. The reason I highlight the first 6 were in 9 years, Australia's been wrestling with this balance anyway of playing Test cricket and T20 cricket and ODI cricket all in the same window in when the games are on our time zones in front of our fans in our stadiums. So when a tournament is really denigrated, now respectfully, but it's denigrated by playing 6 in 9 years, it does give a feeling in this country where it's like, this isn't as important. But when Australia's won 6 of 13 50-over World Cups, they've obviously had a really good test team in the last 50 years, or test teams in the last 50 years. It doesn't add up that Australia's so bad comparatively in T20 cricket. I mean, those results, when you go through them, they consistently don't make it out of the group, let alone get to they've only made 2 finals, barely make a semi-final. That's interesting. That is interesting. But so this World Cup, I felt coming into this World Cup for the first time that Australia were a good chance. I thought Australia were a good chance of doing something in this World Cup. And as it's turned out, they've just shown again other teams much better at T20s.
Hey, I totally agree. And I think the exit contextualises Australia's T20 cricket as a whole. As you say, they entered the tournament on the back of just a glut of trophies in different formats. Test cricket, ODI cricket against the odds, and that it had been, people think that there's just this ongoing continuum of Australian superiority that between Ricky Ponting's team and Cummins's team. Australia has scarcely been at the top of world cricket in any format for any stretch of time. They've had some good teams and players here and there, but it's only in the last couple of years that through Cummins and his access with McDonald that they've ascended once again to the place where we grew up with, and so easily we've slipped that glove back on and gone this is what we are, but we actually hadn't been for a long time.
Dad's home.
But Dad came home and very quickly we just settled into old habits. Yeah. So we'll waltz into this T20 World Cup. We were making jokes about it. We'll call them jokes now. Yeah. Tunnels out, cock stuff. That's all it will be.
Exactly.
And that was the public that was the public commentary from the Australian camp as well. I felt like we'll get up for the big game, and it was like we'll get up for the big game, and because we just speak it into existence and everybody falls over, but. The truth is that, the exit contextualises Australia's T20 cricket as a whole. And as you say, it's not just results on the field, it's the nation's relationship to it generally. I think this exit, which included a wobble against Oman, a narrow win against Scotland, which looking back, the Aussie players are nervously laughing, obviously, as everyone suggested that we were trying to lose. And that's it. Yeah, we're just sort of, we were trying.
Yeah.
Successive losses to Afghanistan and India, and that follows a group stage exit at the last T20 World Cup at home, where Australia lost to New Zealand. And people forget, Australia only just snuck past Afghanistan in 2022 by 4 runs.
That's right.
At home.
Yeah.
in between times, Maxwell's innings saves Australia's blushes against Afghanistan. Fair to say in white ball cricket, Afghanistan's outplayed Australia for years, all right, when it matters. And then we don't play them otherwise, which we'll come to as well. And I think it makes the UAE win seem a little bit more like an aberration.
Yeah.
And I also think, speaking to the off-field stuff as well, like, links have been drawn between the loss to less fancied rivals and Australia's support of bilateral cricket outside of India and England. Australia had to suffer all of us, frankly, the indignity of hoping that Bangladesh could beat Afghanistan so we could march on through.
Yeah.
And I don't think Bangladesh owes Australia much either. We don't really give them a lick.
No, that's right.
It spotlights our nation's unnecessary gravitas saying our nation, but Australia's very precarious and fragile relationship to the format of T20 cricket. You bundle in the place of the BBL in the discourse.
Yep. Which course, sorry?
Sorry, I've just come back from Brooklyn. You can isolate T20 cricket and go, once again, what is T20 cricket to Australia?
Yeah.
Because we do not treat it in the men's. We do not treat it with the same seriousness that we do the other formats. Perhaps that's correct. Perhaps that's the way the nation wants it. But as you see with Afghanistan coming through, Bangladesh, other teams, the world, the world is changing and it is orienting towards T20 cricket.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because that's why I think this is important in the context of where cricket is going. Because I think, anecdotal perhaps, I feel like every one of my mates that I speak to, they like the tests. I like the tests as well. It's just what you grow up with, and it's your relationship with your family, your dad. Backyard cricket, all it's on in the right times for us. Christmas, time off work, school holidays, all that sort of stuff.
Saying search terms.
Where is Dad?
Test cricket. What is Boxing Day? Tic-a-tac. Polo shirt.
Boat shoes. Where get?
Light blue. What?
Yeah. He'll figure Tommy.
Must be nice.
Keep going for like 15 minutes on that. Williams, RM.
That's all right. Mid-strength. Why? Members, where get ticket, full strength.
Simcox, Pat, happened what? That's one for the South African fans. Yeah, because, I speak for myself. My experience is with, I suppose, covering the IPL the last 4 years, we've done it now, and then just being in the US for this World Cup, observing it more, thinking about more the associate nations. Cricket aims to be truly a global game, which obviously it does have aspirations to do that. T20 cricket is the way. T20 cricket is the way that this game grows, and it should. It should go. It should grow. And I think people like me, someone like an Ian Higgins, is going to have to reconcile with my own relationship with the game, and what I want is not what most people want. And you look at, we'll talk about Kane Williamson a little bit later, Dave Warner, T20 cricket generally, ILT20, SA20, Big Bash, Super Smash, all in the same time. So I want Australia to still be the best team. But they've just never really been the best team in T20 cricket, and they're often quite a way off. But they've managed to have the best cricketers in other formats. So the talent pool is there. I think it's just like an energy issue. Now, in this current team, it's basically the same team playing in all three formats. So that is probably troubling, maybe. But I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say Australia need to take it more seriously, and they never have. Oh, no, sorry. They have taken it seriously this time. They're just not as good as other teams.
Would you be willing for Australia to take it more seriously at the expense of other formats, though? What format are you willing to drop or to accept a decline in if, it's finite, right? England put their white ball program together several years ago where they started leading the game. Was it at the expense of Test cricket? Is Bazball, an alignment between them and their white ball program? Are there smart answers to this? Once again, all we're asking for as fans is for the Australian team to dominate every format,
win every game.
That's ultimately my identity with Australian cricket, being the best. And as long as and as soon as they're not that, I'm off.
Yeah,
I'm Stephen May. I'm Demons.
That guy. See, with that,
I'll be lost to AFL.
There is some recency bias because, like, how much do I really care about? No, I'm talking about myself, and it's like, I still care. Like, I wanted the team to win, obviously, but fuck me, the Ashes were good. The Ashes were so good last time. So you think about that, like, would I trade in what the Ashes were midway through last year, sort of less than a year ago now, for this? Nah, that it finished 2-2.
Can it be both?
Fuck, I felt it so much more. Like the time zones aren't that much worse. I mean, you can watch the first session in Australia and the UK for the England Ashes. Maybe a little bit harder, I think. I think in England they can watch the last session, can't they?
Start it later.
Yeah.
So in the morning.
So similar difficulties to watch the sport, but fucking hell, I feel so much more invested in it. But again, that's just upbringing and environments, isn't it? Like, maybe younger people don't feel that. If I'm 10 in 2024, do I feel the same feeling with the Ashes as I do the T20 World Cup?
Well, maybe when Australia, became a Commonwealth in 1901, maybe they felt towards the Ashes the way we do the BBL, So, like, it's just an investment. Like, so maybe in 120 years, people will be going T20, Like, what about the rich lineage, between Australia and Afghanistan?
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? The Republic of Australia, with any luck. But, so perhaps we're just part of investment. This is early stage investment, getting the ground floor kind of stuff.
And the thing about, like, the squad they picked, completely happy with the squad picked. I don't think there's anyone sitting on the sidelines there that definitely would have swung it either way. Also, I'm still trying to figure out I keep using the word arbitrary, the arbitrary nature of T20s, right? So, like, Australia and Afghanistan both lost 2 games in a row. Australia did it at the worst time. Afghanistan got thumped by the West Indies, 104 runs. They then lost the next game to India by 47 runs. Australia obviously lost their game against Afghanistan, the highest stakes game, because that was more of a knockout game than what the West Indies had beaten Afghanistan with, and then obviously lost the game crucially against India by 20 whatever runs. So then relying on Bangladesh to try and do the business, which they nearly did, but then gas trucked it. So then Afghanistan won the game by 8 runs. Now, does that make Afghanistan a better team? Hard to tell. I mean, England have beaten one test playing side so far in the West Indies. They've lost to Australia. They've lost to South Africa. Just trying to figure out, like, what it all means, Like, is it all doom and gloom?
No,
I don't think it's...
so we're doing
I don't think it's disastrous.
Like a post-mortem of, like, why did this happen or how did this happen?
I suppose so,
A few ideas. I don't know if they're right. I mean, I obviously can't give my honest thought about how this feels because it's too much of a trap. It's too homespun.
And you've been crying all morning.
I mean, this is this will be regarded as homespun and soft, but my actual view is, like, you can't win them all, and it's okay to have a rest. Like that. Other teams win sometimes. We've had our fair share.
There's World Cups all the time.
Yeah,
you can't have them all.
I'm not like a sort of a more dignified, like, narrow semi-final loss would have been easier to stomach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Against the right opposition.
That, I've sort of been there or thereabouts or whatever. And, if it happens in the right nature, it's fine. The ignominy of exiting at the Super 8 stage, A
couple of years ago, Super 10s.
Yeah. To a minnow, or someone else said to me, a non-test playing nation, which is incorrect. Both are incorrect, but that's generally the view in Australia. Mm-hmm. That's what hurts the most.
Yeah.
I have to say, though, like, that idea of the team's done pretty well. They can have a day off in terms of World Cups, which happen every day. Mm-hmm. That must be backed up, because I'm scouring Twitter for the suspects that have been waiting, to hammer this team, and I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything from the top order of 2000. There's nothing out there, so they must know on some level the team's been pretty good, and you can lose every so often. But like, if we're going into advancing reasons why it didn't quite work out for the Australian team, they dropped 15 catches.
15.
They dropped 15 catches. Mitch Marsh dropped 4. Fielding window to the soul stuff. Now, I don't know, like, that is pretty old side. Like, AJ isn't usually great for fielding. I don't know. Like, easy to say now in retrospect, but like look at the side. Like I know we're going to come to what's next for these guys, but yeah, Warner 37, Wade 36, Maxwell 35, Stark 34, Stoinis 34, you know, Hazelwood 33, and then we get a couple more guys at their peak. Marsh 32, Zampa 32, Camo 31. Still plenty of years left now. Camo.
Oh, 15.
Heads 30 is the second youngest in the side, and Tim David's the pup at 28.
28.
Yeah. Are you saying what? Older than you thought?
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, you can probably play a bit longer these days. So yeah, fielding. Was there not enough blokes, on the training paddock saying let's get 10? Was not enough of GPS? Like not enough short catches on the half volley. Bat being held French cricket style, swinging between your legs. You just bend over and catch it 2 centimetres off the ground from 2 metres away, which never happens in cricket at any point. No. Is there not enough bum pats after a high catch drill? Is there not enough drills where somebody absolutely rifles the ball at you along the ground, you pick it up, and as you throw it to the keeper, that same batter then hits the ball at your face, thereby compromising your throw because you've got a missile coming at your face and you can't actually catch it because you're busy throwing it. Is there...
Again, never happens in a game.
It never happens in a game, but it does seem to construct intensity because the guy at the height of the hierarchy who gets to hold the bat does get to ping balls at people to release his own anger at his life. Was there not enough of that, A couple of... I'm just advancing reasons.
Did no one from second slip run to fine leg at the end of the over to get the bowler's hat to then give it
Why weren't there enough second
your
slips?
Your Joel Wilsons,
Exactly.
your Goffies?
That's right. Did someone step on the field before the captain, thereby accruing a fine? Was there not a justice of the peace, which is the fines master?
That's a fines master.
As people parade through the dressing room, showing their peace. Okay, just a couple of things
ideas
to consider.
What went wrong?
I like your point about the arbitrary nature of T20 cricket a little bit, which suits me with our team exiting. It's all pretty arbitrary, toss of the coin stuff. But it is funny. You can get a coin toss wrong, or you can bring the wrong bowler at the wrong time. It's a game where T20 is a game where there are places to hide. If you get the matchup right or wrong or whatever, it can fuck you. 10 other guys can go really well, but I thought Australia were comprehensively outplayed, and I thought they were outskilled in those conditions. I do think they like pace on the bat. A couple of guys who can go big with pace on, but pace off, good spin, skill. They were caught in those situations, didn't field very well, and that's usually enough upon which a World Cup can spin. And I think the boys will just have a beer and reflect on pretty good generation.
Yeah, I think my experience of consuming what's been said so far here is that, in Australia, I mean, not just between you and me.
Talking, said I'm bored, and we should shut up. And
I'm playing World of Warcraft over here.
My experience of this is that I'm not listening and I'm just waiting to talk, as I am.
I'm painting a goblin green. Or whatever the fuck
MS
you do.
Paint. MS Dhoni.
Is it, no one's suggesting that Australia deserved to go through.
No.
And that is good because they didn't. Suppose what I'm saying is, I want to focus on England because I think England match up really well against India, for instance, and I think that the winner of the India-England semi-final probably wins it. Or the other semi-final will win it. I just think England are really good. They started slowly, had a weird game against Scotland where they would have had to chase 106 or something off 9 overs.
Fixed it, to be fair to them.
They fixed it.
I think a lot was made of England's poor start and whatever, and I think they were subject to the ruthlessness of the tournament format. I mean, there was every chance they chased down Scotland.
Every chance.
And put under the pump to win games in major fashion. They did. So at some level, the team knows that they can play.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But I'm just saying they lost their next game.
Yeah.
And then they could have been out of the tournament. Even the Namibia game, we've said this before, but even the Namibia game, 45 minutes away from being washed out and being knocked out of the tournament. They've played well in the Super 8s, though they did lose against South Africa, so then they had to beat the West Indies and they had to beat the USA. Of course, they did both those things. And then you're looking at this semi-final on Thursday night, Friday Friday morning Australia time, where there's supposed to be a lot of rain around. There's no reserve day for that semi-final, but there's a reserve day for the other semi-final. And so they could be washed out. They could be knocked out of the tournament, and India would go through because India finished higher in the group. Those are just the rules of the tournament. I'm just saying it's like, it is very difficult to figure all this out. When Australia have lost the same amount of games against Afghanistan, Afghanistan deserved to go through. I'm not saying they didn't. I'm just saying that the timing of the losses and the
What about India's undefeated? There was a scenario going to yesterday where if Bangladesh won by enough, India was out, weren't they?
Same as South Africa. Same as South Africa. South Africa could have lost one game against that West Indies game. They had to win that one. Otherwise, England would have got through and the West Indies because they didn't beat the USA by enough. It's
A game yesterday was very funny though.
It was a great game of cricket as well. It was a great game of cricket, low scoring affair, but the drama and the lack of calmness from everyone, including us watching it from this fucking studio in Melbourne. Rashid Khan's pegging his bat at his teammates.
Mate.
Jonathan Trop kicking over fucking dustbins.
Do you remember if you used to watch
or crates or whatever it was?
Les Murray's World Football on SBS in the early 90s or something. And this is going to sound very snobby, but you'd get this grainy footage of some insane chaotic match between Malaysia and Micronesia, where there's just chaos reigning.
Yes.
I felt like that game yesterday was a bit because Australia had a dog in the fight, you're watching it closely and the emotion and the chaos going on and the permutations. Shout out Frank Duckworth, obviously, RIP, but he's involved. DLS is involved. Australia's trying to go through. Then there's scenarios where Bangladesh are hitting too many boundaries. No, haul it in, boys. And then Rashid Khan comes on 4 for 20. Rashid Khan's pegging bats. Guys going down with hamstrings. Jonathan Trott's kicking over chairs. And it was very I know for me, we were our experience was we were going to record a video. I had to go home because I had to pick up my kids, and we're trying for the game to finish early on time so I could record it. And I found myself standing watching the TV. I realized I hadn't moved for 35 minutes just watching the game because every single delivery seemed to contain some new piece of drama. Gurbaz goes down with an injury. He's guys are stressed.
Yeah,
But that
it was
good.
stressful. It was stressful.
Maybe the 64 games preceding it, were all part of the context of jeopardy.
It felt very much like a fourth grade semi-final, a team chasing 105. No one's done it before. We're all freaking out. How much this means to us, get away from our lives.
105, just the biggest total you've ever seen.
Our field's starting to grow because they're growing for footy season.
Yeah.
It's just, decks are difficult. Blokes just fucking chaos, trying to get away from the misses.
Now someone's on the field. It's with their Ralph Lauren polo. Or get off the field. I pay rates.
It was exactly the same as that. Let's talk about, should we talk about South Africa and Afghanistan? That matchup, that's the first semi-final. That's, if you're in Australia or on the East Coast, it's 10:30. South Africa, geez, they've got a great chance. They've got a great chance to win a semi-final here, get yourselves into their first major final. People keep telling me that they won the Champions Trophy in 98 before it was called a Champions Trophy. Suck my dick.
Up.
Fucking grow up. Fucking grow up. Oh, they won the Commonwealth Games. Oh, Jesus, come on.
Find the touch of a woman, get a job, just do those, just go through those steps.
Couple of big steps there. Couple of big check boxes. They got a chance. They got a chance, South Africa, and their spin is very, very good in Shamsi and Maharaj. Aidan Markram bowled 4 overs in a row in the power play, opening the bowling in the last game. Their middle order batting is as good as anyone else with the power, the touch, and the class. Different to Heinrich Klaassen, who actually is in that middle order.
So not different at all.
It's actually exactly the same. Quinton de Kock got a couple of 50s now, missed out last game, but he's up top. Reza Hendricks has been under so far, and then you got the pace of Nortje, who's come good, bowling in the death overs, and obviously Rabada. That's the way they go. And also Marco Jansen won the game from last time with the bats.
Yeah.
After being hip and shouldered by Rabada. I mean, it's a good team.
Yeah, their path to the semi-finals would be encouraging if you were looking at sport from a black and white, emotionless view. Every player bar Hendricks has contributed. They have won the tight moments, which they don't normally do. They are well balanced. They have a mix of youth and experience. They've got X factor. They can defend when they need to. It all looks together, but as we know in sport, where we impose our own psychological, silly human narratives over the top, frankly, the competition hasn't begun. Like it's like a league where you go through the round games and then it's just a new competition in the semi-finals. If South Africa bow out in a tight game against Afghanistan, which could happen, the narrative will continue that they choke, in big games. It probably won't be the case. It'll probably be unfair. But, with respect to South Africa, none of what they've done till now matters. Like, all that's going to matter for South Africa, because of how many times they've failed in big moments with good teams, is winning. It's win or fail. It's win or fail, really, for everyone bar Afghanistan. I think Afghanistan's overachieved. Good to be there. See what they can do. They'll be fired up. And England, England should expect to win as well. Really,
I agree. I mean, we said this before, but I'd be down for a South Africa win. I'd be down for that.
You can take it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try South Africa win tonight.
Easily with that.
I've eaten at the buffet enough.
Yeah. Pigs at the trough.
Pigs at the trough. I'm full. South Africa. I'll have a look at that. I'll have a look at that tonight.
South Africa or New Zealand would have been good if it wasn't going to be the team that I go for because I was born there.
It's Uber Eats. It's just scrolling. This is not an ad. Just scroll. What do you feel like tonight? Whatever.
Now, the other semi-final is in terms of food, delicious. India, England. Obviously, what happened last time at Adelaide Oval, England chased down 180. Hales and Busby Butler. That's true. Absolutely demolished India with several balls in the bank.
160 looking good for India. Not really.
I mean, that would be ultimate redemption that India would want. And then they get to play Afghanistan in the final after South Africa gas truck again in the semi-final.
That's the thing. Like, we impose our own narratives over this. Like, everyone's... We try and look at the history of World Cups across not just our own sport but other sports, and we joke about cliches like, well, have they had the loss they had to have?
Yeah.
Or do you go the other way as it is with India, where it's just like, oh, look, everybody's contributing and the guy who hasn't Kohli is probably saving him. They look great across the park. And does that mean anything coming into this game, or is it just like two teams who have a certain history and match up against each other, see how they go, see who comes off?
I fucking hate how much it's just matchups. I hate that it's just matchups.
Yeah, it's like a T20 cricket, it's a game of great data, but it does seem to be like when when we cover the IPL and stuff, you talk like captains who speak after the game, it essentially comes down to the dew came in at this time and we sort of benefited from that, or we got a good matchup or two. I like the look of this guy. Some of us like the look of the left arm over, left arm orthodox or whatever.
Yep.
And in this Caribbean edition, it's we hit with the wind. Well, that was into the wind.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Which way is the wind blowing? Literally.
Yeah. India's on a hiding to nothing. They've got to win. They've got to win. So they've got to win the whole World Cup.
Oh, absolutely.
To justify things being said online.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, receipts have been kept. Put it like that. All right. Should we thank our friends, Budgie Smuggler Pezza?
And a massive shout out to Budgie. Genuinely, and I know we do this all the time, but we are
put up the. Put a neon.
Neon sign. Been in New York, everything's neon over there as well.
Everything's neon.
All the bars.
Everything's neon. You've got the budgie hat on today.
Oh, the budgie hat.
T-shirt.
And look,
budgie t-shirt here for.
I've been wearing that t-shirt. I can shout out this t-shirt or their range of apparel there, and I'm sure you can back this up because you're actually wearing it.
I'm physically wearing
it. It's a thicker t-shirt. The thread count's great.
Yep.
It's soft.
Yes.
It sits very nicely on the rig, especially your rig.
That's kind.
They have a range of hoodies out now as well. We'll be donning them deluxe next week. They are warm. They leave you with a sense of comfort. The way a Pat Cummins hug might. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What a sense of comfort that'd be. Or even the big Doss wrapping the old bears around you. Now, I mentioned Doss deliberately because his latest Instagram post is of him in the Caribbean wearing budgies.
Encourage people to look at that.
Yeah, genuinely.
Doss 359.
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah. Just type in Doss. I'm sure it'll come up.
It'll come up.
Yeah, that'll MS Doss. But we're not talking about the smugglers today, but, though they're there for you as well. Yeah, it's and also if you want to have a look at our bios as well, models for Budgie Smuggler as well, as you can see. Yeah, I did model for Girlfriend magazine age 16.
Let's talk about that.
I prefer not, but had hair in it if anyone wants to see it. But you can get a massive discount through TGC on this stuff.
Enormous.
And it's like the apparel is unbelievable. Yeah. Use the code GRADE. GRADE, you're going to get 23% off.
Underwear as well, Pezza.
Underwear.
And we had a patron writing a couple of weeks ago about how comfortable the underwear is. So
Well, seriously, with the underwear and the apparel, underwear and socks in particular, I know there's a lot of blokes who listen to this show. This is genuinely a call to arms. Listeners right now, they go to the show notes of this show, can just go to the link and they can sort out their underwear and their socks straight away, 23% off.
Get out of here.
The socks are amazing. I've got them. Underwear, incredible. Feel great. I know a lot of blokes just leave this stuff late. Just right now, link 23% off underwear, apparel. Grab yourself a t-shirt and a warm hoodie to begin with.
Only to the end of June. Only to the end of June.
23% off end of June.
So we got last week, 23% off.
Last
go there.
call.
Just go there and have a look. Go there and have a look at it.
Massive shout, Budgie.
The end of Warner for Australia, Pezza. Here are some numbers.
Those are good numbers.
Tests. 112 games, 8,786 runs, a best of 335 red, averaging 44.59. He hit 2600s. ODIs, 161 games, 6,932 with a top score of 179, averaging 45.30, strike rate of 97, 2200s in that format. T20Is, 110 games, 3,277 runs, a best of 100 red, average 33, strike rate 142, 100. He hit 4900s for the country, Pezza. He hit 4900s for Australia. He hit 98 50s for Australia. That's across 3 formats, obviously. What's he like as a bloke?
I mean, I do like looking at the raw numbers.
They're unbelievable.
For
3
of
formats.
We did this before. We haven't had an opportunity to interview Warner on this show. We've talked to him for 7. But, we read numbers out beforehand. And I encourage anyone who just wants to feel safe, who just wants to look at some numbers, to have a look at. If you're a cricket person, then and people will know who I'm talking to. When I say, you'll know if I'm talking to you with this.
Yeah.
Have a go at these. I'm just looking at them now. It's the numbers of a great. He's a great.
4900s for Australia.
And he's the first guy really whose whole career has coincided with, from youth, from cradle to grave of his international career with 3 formats. So we know through his career, he has been the best exponent pound for pound across all 3 formats that Australia has produced. You could talk about Mitch Starc, I'd say, in bowling terms. But, there are other guys who, if they were afforded the right to play T20 cricket, early on, like a Hayden or a Gilchrist and stuff like that, you might be able to make a comparison. But does it?
Watto would be close. Watto would be close. Anyway, sorry, yeah, conversations. Comparison thief of joy gear.
Yeah, but it's prolific, and this is a guy that was initially, and probably for a long period of time, regarded as a kind of swashbuckling mercurial type batsman, not a prolific, consistent, reliable getter of runs for Australia. He makes the comment about a week ago that he's likely to be remembered for the sandpaper controversy perhaps more than his career. I think that's unfortunate. Also because, there's, as he even alludes to with his most recent comment, he took the rap.
Yep.
Now, the official story is that only three people would, could have had the rap taken for them.
Yeah.
So who's he referring to there?
Yeah.
Although Bancroft and Smith took enough of a rap themselves.
I think it was Lee Harvey Oswald was the other one.
Indeed. But and I do like that. And then there's the what's he like as a bloke stuff. People have already made up their opinions. They made up their minds about it. But he did overnight, and I'm not sure this would have helped, but he did nominate his successor. So
yes.
Just as like he nominated his. Why was he allowed to nominate that? Not nominate his finale. I don't know. It's just like he's got some power over the CA. I don't know. But he nominated his successor.
He's not allowed to captain, but.
Yeah, that's right. But he was like, I'll probably bow out around here. Yeah. Okay, Dave. He nominated his successor. Instagram post. He and Jake Fraser McGurk sharing a drink with the inscription, "All yours now, champion." Now there's layers to that.
Yeah, done him again.
He's always, to be fair to David Warner, and we've spoken to him about this, he's and it's a very New South Wales thing. He has always been a very solemn proponent of the word champion.
He has been.
There is a niche rugby league circle where champion is not a term of derision. Look.
Yeah. Don't shoot the messenger.
No one has to question my credentials on champion, but I'm just exploring the etymology of it and the meanings.
Yeah.
But he's champed him. Does Fraser McGurk want to be his successor, does he want to do his own thing?
Looks like he'll be playing in the Big Bash for the Thunder this season, as he did for a couple of games this summer just gone. So Warner has an ILT20 deal with the Dubai Capitals, for whom he flew out to join after playing for the Thunder last season. But the UAE tournament will start earlier next January and overlap far more with the BBL this time around, because of course it will. He said this ahead of his final test this year at the SCG, of course. He said, obviously, I've joined the Fox commentary team next year during the test series against India, which I'm looking forward to. So I'd like to play the BBL in and around the commentary stuff. So a couple of commitments there for David. In other news, Thunder BBL news, I suppose, Sam Billings has become the first player to sign a multi-year BBL deal. He'll be available for the Thunder for every game for 3 years, meaning he can't actually play in the SA20 or the ILT20. Now, all that's interesting because, again, every conversation that we have in any format really is all about the future of cricket, because it's still very Wild West. We're still trying to figure it all out. It's still letting dust settle with it, but you can see, if you pay attention to it, that the windows are being bought up, and the ILT20 and the SL20 obviously have Indian investment in it. There are IPL franchise owners also buying these teams as well, and now their teams and their leagues and are really encroaching with the Super Smash and the Big Bash, of course. So to that end, if we can talk about Kane Williamson to the SA20, Kane Williamson has stepped down and turned down a new central contract with New Zealand and stepped down as a Black Caps white ball captain. So New Zealand's centrally contracted players must be available to play international cricket in the domestic T20 Super Smash competition. It's suggested that he's keen on signing a deal with an SA20 franchise, which is on at the same time as the Super Smash, of course, the Big Bash and the LT20. So it doesn't look like he's missing many, if any, games for New Zealand, but it does signal more change to the game. We've, at the same time, just the last couple of weeks, been doing some... we've been speaking to media in New Zealand, coincidentally. And there is no doubt that there are fears in New Zealand about what this signals. Now, Kane Williamson is in that conversation for the greatest ever Black Cap, if he's not clearly already. And this is a signifier of like, well, our best ever player, though he is at the twilight end of his career, we don't get to see him. So it's alarming. It hasn't happened yet in Australia, but the equivalent would be a Cummins, Steve Smith, not playing when he is available to go play somewhere else in a different league for more money. That's what it essentially comes down to, right?
Yeah, and I'll be curious. I feel like this is ground that we've traversed so many times, and the things things shift gradually and then quickly when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'd be curious to see Cricket Australia's stance on that kind of movement as the season goes on. But I don't really know what else to add to what you've said. Windows are being bought up. People are wanting to own more of the monopoly board. I failed to see how Australia's Big Bash League grows, thrives, survives in that context, because it is the money in these other leagues is just superior, and the approach is aggressive, and it is through the decisions of lots of these senior players. It's not so much forcing their hand, but they are following the money, it's far be it from me to predict what will happen out of that, but I can only imagine that a lot of those franchises will, against that backdrop, start to knock on the door of BBL franchises or Cricket Australia and go, hey, you want to, do you just want to be in this? Do you want to be part of this? But that moment doesn't seem to have come yet.
For Kiwis especially, Kane Williamson is the biggest ticket item, but before him, Trent Bolt, another one who turned down a central contract. Colin de Gronholm's done it before. Colin Munro, another one. You'd be looking at Tim Southey, who is the leading wicket taker for New Zealand. In fact, he's the leading wicket taker in T20Is ever. Rashid Khan has 20 wickets less, and he's second. New Zealand have had a generation of unbelievable cricketers that deserve to have won more. We were saying even this morning that there is a world where New Zealand win the 2019 World Cup in England, of course. They won the first World Test Championship against India at Lords. Was that Lords? Yeah. Or the Oval?
No, the Oval.
The Oval.
No,
it was at
Southampton.
Rose Bowl. Rose Bowl, yeah, or whatever that's called now. And then in yes, the Aegeus Bowl. That's right. We got there eventually. And in 2021, they made the T20 World Cup final in the UAE, and they lost to Australia. So in the space of 3 years, they could have won every single trophy, which they probably deserve to do. It didn't work out for them. But the point being, it's a generation of amazing cricketers coming towards the end of their career, and Kiwi fans unlikely to get to see a whole heap of them play in front of them, and it's
where rubber hits the road on club over country. I mean, it just seems to be. If you look at this is like spinning an old record, but like the macro trend appears to be that the cricket world will reset to being domestic franchise first, just as it is with football, with international windows, and I think all of those, the upcoming ICC meetings will probably further entrench that. And at the moment, what we're seeing is a lot of these players who are heroes to national fans opting for domestic franchise cricket because the money's too good to ignore.
And if you're in Australia listening to this, I'd be worried that the same thing will eventually happen here. Moving on, Frank Duckworth, one of the inventors of the Duckworth-Lewis system, later Duckworth-Lewis-Stern method to determine results in rain-affected cricket matches. He died on Friday, last Friday, June 21, at the age of 84. The original method, devised by English statisticians Duckworth and Tony Lewis, was first used in international cricket in 1997 and was formally adopted by the ICC as a standard for setting revised targets in truncated games in 2001. In 2014, it was renamed the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern method after the retirement of Duckworth and Lewis and the modifications made to the system by Australian statistician Stephen Stern. Oh, hey, Sterny. Duckworth and Lewis were both awarded MBAs in June 2010. By the way, I'm reading this from ESPN Cricket Info. And
not just speaking in complete sentences.
That's right. Yeah. The DL method replaced the rain rule that was used previously to calculate targets in interrupted matches, most infamously during the 1992 World Cup semi-final between England and South Africa in Sydney. Of course, people remember that one, where they needed 22 to win off one ball. Although, to be fair, a lot of people listening to this weren't even born then, so maybe they don't remember that. But that's sad news. Sad news. I also feel like I've learnt about Duckworth's life because of his passing. I don't really know any of that stuff or the
apparently Lewis is the straight man and Duckworth is funny.
Is that right?
Yeah. That's all I learned. But it is a sad day. We hear his name. Particularly coming first as well. Duckworth Lewis. But
must be nice. He goes and Pez sounds odd. Doesn't sound right.
That's on public record now.
Yeah. No, it sounds odd that your name's in it at all.
Many would agree. There's a couple other jokes sitting there.
Who's Stern?
No. It was sitting there, you think, and then he goes, Oh, they're having a laugh today. We hear his name a lot because it is really the name that is synonymous with the high functioning numerology of cricket. That's when cricket numbers really come into their own. You know what I mean? That's when the juices start flowing. In all of us. Some of us pretend that we're not that way inclined, but we all are. If you're involved in the game, really, there's all some kind of proclivity for numbers somewhere. And I have to say, I checked myself that this wasn't just making a legend out of somebody posthumously, which is something that can happen. It happens with musicians and things like that. But I do believe this. I mean, it's very DLS has always been, and poor old Stern, I know he tacked his name on the end and Aussie, how are you, Sterny and stuff. But a lot of people think that means system. So shout out Sterny.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But they use it interchangeably. But I think DLS gets a bad rap at times just because of its sheer complexity, because basically it spits out a table. But if you know about it, it is really it's often quite right, and it's actually quite satisfying when you see the number that a team has to chase following rain or some kind of a delay to the game. Like when you do think about it, you're like, yeah, that's right. Now I'm not saying I know the formula for it or anything like that. And this actually, like I was reminded of John Doyle, Roy from Roy Nash. He did the Andrew Olley media lecture in 2005, and he spoke about American physicist Robert Kirshner, who said, in the end, a mathematical formula must have elegance to have truth, and to his mind, string theory still lacked elegance. And I've always felt that, I'm not saying that, Duckworth Lewis Stern is anything like string theory or like, big physicist formulas, but it's always had an elegance to it. It's always been able to take into account, wickets that have fallen, time left, and so it's always, from my mathematical standpoint, always seemed about right to me.
I tell you what, when I was smashing a chicken burger watching Bangladesh Afghanistan, I thought it was fucking way off. But then he got it right,
right.
And then the wicket fell. I was like, nah, this isn't on.
Yeah, I got to say, I've had a look a few times. And went, no, that's a bit off actually, because I played a bit. You know what I mean? No, I don't think that's the right target.
Yeah. Could he catch?
Yeah.
That's the main question.
That's right.
That's the main question.
A mathematician who can catch. Now there is a real catch.
Talk about string theory.
Yeah, farmer wants a wife stuff. Really, married at first sight.
There's a guy. I don't watch Farmer Wants a Wife, but there's a guy who is it or he was it who follows the show.
Right. I just imagine.
Do you know his name, Charlie? No. He's
Charlie doesn't watch TV.
That's true.
It's just Josh Hazelwood.
Yeah, that's his name. Oh, you know him.
Just old tired tropes.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by our friends over at Manscaped. Like to call fresh ball fall. Introducing the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. The leaders in the below-the-waist grooming are here to make sure that your foliage isn't the only thing shedding its excess leaves. Make sure to trim your bush with the best and let Mother Nature do the rest. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. I'm just thinking about what that number used to be.
Well, it's amazing because when we used to do this
6
ad,
million.
it was 6 million.
And we asked them to retire the number.
Yeah, well, that's not the right. No.
You can't be saying that.
Invoking that number.
No, you can't.
And next read it was 7. So luckily they added 1 million customers
and now
in a week.
Now there's 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, TM, by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code TGC. Remember, lads, when you trim the weeds, the tree always stands taller.
That's true.
Manscaped.com, 20% off plus free shipping with the code TGC. Now, Manscaped have got behind TGC for a couple of years, and we're just asking you to get behind them.
Would you say the tree stands taller? Is that the word? Because that would suggest to me that that manscaping leaves you with a full and satisfying erection. It stands taller. I would say longer. But maybe they don't want to deal with length because then it starts to introduce conversations of girth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they don't want to be biased towards either one.
Yeah. That's right.
Stands longer. Stands taller, sorry. No, maybe not. Listen, we're all just working on
a full and
content.
satisfying erection is really the only erection you can have. Yeah, I don't hear many about like limp and miserly.
Miserly,
so economical,
not leaking runs.
No, it's not leaking.
He's a very miserly bowler.
Like Glenn McGrath, he was miserly, wasn't he? He was miserly.
Strange old thesaurus on that one, but I mean, I find it hard with Manscaped but
I bet you do.
To surpass and get over what Gideon was saying last week.
What did he say?
Well, he said that he used to use scissors 1.0. And before that, he used to use a Swiss Army knife.
Right.
And when he said that, I actually, it was only after the show, and perhaps I wasn't listening correctly, and again, that wouldn't be the first time. But I thought he actually meant he used a blade, like from a Swiss Army knife.
Right.
Because on a Swiss Army knife, you sort of got the mothership blade, and there's a couple of other accoutrements around it. Now I know, and it's a versatile thing, but I always see the blade as the easiest thing to pull out as a child when your mum wasn't looking. You haven't developed nails yet and stuff. So I thought he was using the blade to like slice.
Like it was a butter knife.
Yeah. Like,
Oh, imagine using a butter knife. Fuck.
but what he meant was the little, like the mini scissors.
Yes.
on them. God, That, I mean, to me, that is.
And he was being serious.
Yeah, and fair play to him. I reckon Cricket Our Tale probably sold a few Manscapes after that, to be fair to them. But
It's definitely their audience.
he was speaking quite openly about having a veritable forest down there. You know, on Amazon. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, as I said to him, like I always Manscape before every show. Where we do a read. Once again, just today was one and done, no problem.
Yeah,
like just
no
in
problem.
and out.
Yep.
I mentioned to Gideon that I do it in the shower. Then he mentioned that that's dangerous from an electricity point of view.
No.
And he'd be correct. And he's also right that you're not really meant to say that, but you can. It's water resistant.
Right.
Anyway, I'm just letting you know about the product.
Well, now I'm scared because I was in the shower. Should I be worried?
Well, I'm still standing. Elton John.
Good
Styles.
song. Good song.
Yeah. That used to be my university song if I passed an exam. Still standing, just alive and kicking.
That's nice.
So. But I didn't have a Manscaped at that time.
Remember we went to a cafe when I finished my last exam.
Yeah.
And Bob Marley,
Was there?
Three Little Birds. Bob Marley was there. He was serving the coffee.
I was high as fuck.
I said, g'day, Bob Marley.
Yeah.
Turns out I was just a woman. With a weave. Wasn't Bob Marley at all.
Right. Yeah, what happened to the cafe? Was that
No, that song was playing. The song was playing.
Three
It's
Little
just
Birds, yeah.
now it's the song that I think about when I
Well, it's very easy for every little thing to be all right once you've passed your fucking exams. Easy to say.
exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Just like Boomer saying, save your money. That must be fucking nice. Very easy.
You know when my last law exam was? My last exam was
No. What'd you study? Yeah, too late. No, it's all right.
Wentworth Park at the dog track
Mate,
at the dishies. That was when my last exam was.
that's a special place to me.
Fucking hell, man! Now
Wentworth.
Siri's listening to me. Shut up.
Series the dishes. It was on.
Yeah. Race 7, Wentworth Park. Yeah.
That's where my school used to do its sport, Wentworth Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And kids would throw rocks from the viaduct at us while we trained for rugby, our choir school, badly. They'd laugh at us.
Fair enough.
Do not play Oztag there if you want ankles at work. Anyway, fascinating.
Do you ever get frustrated you cannot watch a certain live sports event because they aren't televised in your country?
I certainly do, Ian. And do you get frustrated by the same token?
Yeah. With Nord VPN, I can switch my virtual location to a country that is showing the sports event I want to watch, so I don't miss out and can watch the action live. Being on the brink of global recession and the world going a bit crazy,
Yeah. Are you okay, mate? Are you having a stroke?
I need to cut back on spending and save some money whilst protecting myself online. NordVPN helps me save money as well as protect me from cybercrime. I change my virtual location and sign up for subscription services via other countries, blah, blah, blah.
Mate, what's that?
I'm not doing NordVPN with justice anymore. I need to find a new angle, but they just tell me what they want me to say, and I don't like being told what to say in an ad, you know?
Well, speaking of strokes,
Yeah.
my dear uncle came to visit last night. I'll see him tonight as well. We went to see my children and stuff. Come down from Sydney, State of Origin's on. Stayed over at ours. He enjoys watching like free-to-air TV.
Okay.
And he had paramedics on last night.
What's that?
Volume 50. Well, it's pretty self-evident, but it's a reality show like covering paramedics going to pick up poor people who are sick and they're up against it, might be chest pain or whatever.
Yeah.
So I haven't watched this really ever.
Yeah.
And there was one bloke who he was having a stroke and he had dementia, right? But he was like and he had chest pain.
Oh, no.
And they turn up and he's
You're going to make me feel bad for laughing, aren't you?
He's got his Cooper on and he's going on. Hey, he's well and the family's
he's
approved
okay.
this being on.
He's
Okay,
He's okay.
okay, and they've obviously approved it. There was a lot of comic relief in it. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's like, I'm not overlaying it, but he's got his Cooper on and he's going. There's like 3 or 4 paramedics. He'd be in his 70s. He's going, I'm fine, and he's going, watch this. I'll run it off. And he starts running around his backyard with chest pain. And then they don't know what to do. They're like, should we inject him? And then he's got a little bird cage, like a chicken coop, for his parrot. And he locks himself in there and starts talking to his parrot, going, I'm fine. You're fine. The parrot's repeating what he's saying. Anyway, hey, they sorted him out. They got him in.
Yeah.
He was fine. But I mean, I thought the comic relief and lightness around that, because as I was watching it and obviously going, this is I'm like, are his family okay with him, like with seeing this? Look at me trying to absolve myself here. Of
course, yeah.
Like they must approve, right? So
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I was just noting that, given that you were speaking with a stroke voice about Nord VPN.
Saw a guy on my Instagram. It was like from a UK program, which was similar vein of like nurses and whatever. And there's a guy getting a ketamine infusion because he dislocated or he's broken his ankle or one of those two things. So he was in a fair amount of pain. And so they gave him a ketamine infusion to put the ankle back into place. So like they do that. Like the guy's high as a kite, and the nurse or the doctor or whatever is administering the procedure. He's saying like, well, this is a bit of an atypical reaction to a ketamine infusion. This guy is fucking flying. He's like, it was just unbelievable. And he's like, his fucking foot's at 90 degrees. That was good.
Oh, dude,
good.
Speaking of UK programs, and this isn't an ad. I don't know. We haven't discussed this, but one of our like sponsors for our US trip is Wise, the money transfer app, and part of our like work with them is to do some interviews and talk about our vlogs.
Right.
And speaking of UK programs, you had the great pleasure last night of sitting in the waiting room on Sky.
Yeah.
Waiting for Jamie Carragher to finish his bit on the Euros.
Yeah.
Before you jumped on to talk about.
Yeah.
What?
Afghanistan knocking Australia out, basically.
Right.
Yeah, people were very keen to chat. Surprisingly,
it's funny how many interview requests have come through since Australia's been knocked out. Which is good. And then again, like this is the trap, because obviously we didn't really go into this, but Gulbadine goes down. Jonathan Trott says slow the game down. He hits the deck, sort of like football style. We've seen it before. We're saying it's funny, but like it's a trap, because like Aussies aren't meant to make comments about on-field morality given the history of our nation and our on-field morality. Right. So we can't say anything about it. Yeah. But fuck this, and then you're like, well, I can't police. Like, God, there's some garbage chat around. The chat is it boggles the mind. It never ceases to amaze how garbage the chat can be. And I don't want to police
garbage.
You don't want to police. That's just,
like
a stroke again.
I think if you're going to go for it, you got to be funny with it.
What about
absolute garbage?
Najib Zadran from Afghanistan. Now, this is not Ibrahim Zadran, not the opener, but in the squad. Najib Zadran jumps on Twitter after Afghanistan makes it through, and he quote tweets a graphic that has Cummins in it, and a quote from Cummins before the tournament.
Yeah, he's talking to someone on CBS or NBC.
Is he?
It's an American news journalist. Yeah,
right. Yeah. And he's asked, so Cummins is asked by this journalist, who are your top 4 teams for the T20 World Cup? Yeah. And Cummins says, definitely Australia. Yeah. The other 3, you can choose. I don't care. And so Zadran just takes to Twitter, X, and quote tweets this graphic, which has a picture of Cummins and a quote of I think Australia will make it, and the other 3 you choose. Yeah. And the quote is that he quotes it, and then he has 3 aeroplane emojis, then a shush emoji, then a zip mouth emoji, then tags Cummins in. And it's gone, viral. Yeah. People are just, unbelievable done. It's like, man, what chat is that?
That's absolute garbage. What's he gonna say?
Cummins is doing.
He's doing a junket.
He's doing content capture.
Yeah.
Which Zadran should know about. Yeah. He's just going I think my team will make it and I don't care who else. And like, Zadran's just like,
yeah,
shush, mate, on your bike. And just tags Cummins in. Is a professional cricket, is that smart from a professional cricketer? Like Cummins as well? I was like, mate, fucking take that, Pat Cummins, yeah. It's like, Cummins just the last.
You're fucking arrogant.
The last
you're
person.
an arrogant prick.
Exactly. Who says it. And I wouldn't mind seeing that from Cummo just for the novelty of it.
Mate, I know, I feel like all of it's baiting, and maybe us even talking about it is baiting, but like the amount of people talking about like spirit of cricket.
We're crying.
We are crying, yeah. The amount of people talking about, I haven't heard a single person talk about spirit of cricket.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Most people just find it funny. I don't know. They're like having an argument with themselves that no one else is having with them.
I
don't know,
mate. It speaks to I just think it speaks to. We have the fortune, privilege of having a pan, Anglo-Asian audience. It does, and so often you get to see the disparity in the way different fans like connect with the game.
Yeah.
And in Australia, I think there's just a real distance. Australia's issue is that you can win the unwinnable World Cup and 3 people will see Cummins when he gets back to the airport.
Well, Pat. While he's getting a SIM card from Optus or whatever.
He drops into the Optus.
He gets some 5G.
I don't actually say that with any great pride. People might interpret that as like, oh, you just think you're too good to even celebrate a World Cup or whatever. It's probably more a sign of white ball cricket on its knees in the nation and that people are really in thrall of football. But like in so many other countries, it's like what happened overnight is we've had some of the highest rating videos of all time because people just like suck shit kangaroo, cry more, shower.
Yeah. Sandpaper.
Aussies talking about cheating. It's like, mate, settle down. Crying now when I say that.
Yeah.
But
mate, the chat is fucking garbage.
Yeah. I got Malcolm Conn with articles just going, who should follow Warner out of the losing T20 World Cup team? We're just straight on to what's next. Who's out?
Who's out of this summer?
Yeah.
NordVPN.com/TGC. Hashtag AskTGC. Do you want to do it or should I do it?
I'll have a read. I'll have a read.
Go on, son.
Yeah, okay, here we go.
Go on, my son.
I'm reading this naked, as in coming in fresh on it. Anon. Dream analysis. Kidnapped in a fire truck by a rival cricket team. Okay, so the boys has been asked for in a falsetto Darren Strater please voice.
I don't know what that is.
Darren Strater, does it mean anything to you? Feel free to ad-lib. Boys. In a previously published, sorry about that if I don't know who Darren Strater is or if there's a typo there. In a previously published writing 12 months ago, brackets 156, I graduated uni and secured an exciting job in the country with decent sheets. This meant I left my junior club with whom I had risen through the senior ranks. I did end up joining a local club after my move, with horrific results as Pez predicted in your response. The club I later learnt described themselves as a drinking club with a cricket problem, ... 12 months later, my work contract is up and it appears I will be moving back closer to friends and family for another opportunity, pocket filled with aforementioned sheets. This raises the possibility of returning to this god-awful sport with my junior club if I so please. However, 2 close personal friends, both patrons, play at the arch-rival club to my junior club. They've been trying very hard to get me across with wild promises, but thus far I have declined their advances. A week ago I had a very troubling dream. The following I've pieced together from vivid flashes, hopefully it's coherent enough for you lads. It's bright sunny Saturday morning. I'm in the back of an open-top vehicle. Oh, immediately this is JFK now. The wind blowing through my hair. I'm on my way to cricket. I appear to be content. As I continue down the road, I realise I'm on the way to my old home ground. It must be a home game and I'm wearing club kit, bag beside me, result. As the vehicle approaches a roundabout and takes the wrong exit for the home ground, I suddenly realise I'm hogtied in the back of a fire truck. Panic sets in. How the fuck am I supposed to get out of this situation? I peer through the window into the back of the cabin of said fire truck and see my 2 mates grinning with glee from the passenger seats. Their vice president is driving the fire truck. He's wearing a singlet and has his black mouth guard in. The rest of the dream is hazy, but the last thing I remember before waking is still being tied up, helpless, as the truck makes its way to my old arch rival's ground against my will. Hoping you boys can make some sense from this mess for me and help me sort through this shit. I've Googled some meanings with wild results. Should be fun to unpack. Thanks, Finn.
Well, I mean, the straight read of it is that he doesn't want to go and play for his arch rivals with his friends. He wants to play for the club he wants to play for, which is not that team. So that's a straight read of it. Now, being hogtied, I mean, maybe that's just representation of being against his will. I'm not sure what the singlet and black mouthguard has to do with it. But like...
Maybe just like symbols of someone's wearing a mouthguard, they're usually going into battle, you know, and a black like a black mouthguard is
or an insane asylum,
sinister, yes,
so
or
they don't bite their tongue off.
Yeah, that's right. Or trying to whiten their teeth with some of that new technology.
Yeah, that's right.
Just teeth whitener.
Yeah, Invisalign. Sort your teeth out, Finn. Dusty chompers.
I think being kidnapped in a dream tends to mean that you're feeling trapped in life as well. So I wonder if it extends further beyond being made to play at his arch rivals, you know, against his will, but also like, you know, he's had this junior club that he's escaped and he's gone to the country, you know, for sheets. And
bulk sheets.
For bulk sheets and aforementioned sheets that he mentions. And he's coming back, although he played at a club that, you know, didn't really impress him. He comes back a wiser man from the country, you know, but he's just back where he began, you know, and he's just feeling hogtied to the entire existence, whether he plays at his junior club or the arch rivals club.
What would you do in that situation where, like, your friends, you got two of your best friends playing at the rival club? What do you reckon you'd do? You go and play for the club that you were a junior at, or go and play with your friends?
How to say this? Like, I think the grass is always greener at the other side. On the other side, I left a cricket club to go and play with my friend once, and without going into too much detail, and it was not as good as it had. It wasn't what he had promised, but what I had expected. And I'd probably go as far to say, as much as this will upset, you know, cricket optimists, no club is as good as it seems in your head. No cricket is as good as it seems in your head.
No,
that's not the idea of playing cricket. You know, the sooner you get to the point where cricket is a game about you know, little satisfactions that you achieve amid a tsunami of failure on the field and off, the sooner you'll achieve the peace that you're looking for with the game.
Or in the showers.
That's right. Once you achieve the wisdom of what cricket is, your penis grows. The sooner you'll achieve the peace. Now, what a great bargain that is. Like, you go and visit the Dalai Lama. You know, why do I play cricket? It's about little satisfactions. And interestingly, once you realise that, your penis grows.
He gave me great inner peace. By that I mean he put his penis inside me.
And then when you, like the rest of your team in third grade, puts on a comfortable pair of heels after the game in the showers and parades in front of the justice of the peace, you too can achieve your own happiness.
Because don't you reckon that the thing that you would enjoy the most in a cricket club is that if you were the best player?
Well said.
That would be the thing.
I'm really glad you didn't just say that you're playing with your friends. There's one place higher than that, and it's just being the best.
Being the best
at it.
So, like, just find the league and the level.
Yeah.
Within reason, I would say, where you're the best player, where you can consistently have those little micro doses of happiness on a Saturday.
Well, what would you do? I will return the question to you. If you know, like, two of your very best mates said, "Come and join the rival club," same league, I presume.
I had that a similar thing where I played at the one grade club.
Yes.
I played at Gordon in Sydney for 13, 14 years, something like that.
Stalwart stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and I made it. And then at the same time, I had like really good friends who were playing at Shires, right? And then they always wanted me to play there, and I was like, see, I love the boys, love hanging out with them, but I couldn't quite mentally dissociate from grade 2 that lower
You'd
level.
get institutionalised at a club.
Definitely, yeah. And I was happy there. Also, I did have friends at the club, and also because the longer you stay there, like
Friends or a sort of like associates,
Sorry,
acquaintances, and misfits that you spend some time with.
I didn't learn any of their names. Cricket friends versus real friends.
That's
you know,
right.
that's the.
There's Burglar. There's Nugsy.
Oh, you know burglars, are you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Burglar. That's good. That's good. Yeah. So I was happier at the one club because I did eventually play like 2 games. Two games of Shires, I think, and it was like, but I was done with cricket anyway, so like I didn't bring great energy.
Does he change clubs? Like, there is a secret option 3 to leave the game altogether.
Secret.
If he he hasn't mentioned that. He's always like, what do I do? Like play for my junior club or play for the arch rivals? It's just like, brother, like if you want to see your friends, like just catch up with them after the game.
Arch rivals is such a funny, confected term in amateur sport, isn't it? Just a different neighbourhood. Same people, different neighbourhood. Fuck, we hate them. We fucking hate these blokes.
I played for 2 clubs in Sydney, and one was like had better players than the other. I probably enjoyed the other club more, and like the one with better players used to absolutely loathe the other one that I went to. I hated them, and when I first played at this club, I was like, oh, the rivalry must be intense. Then when I went to the other club, they weren't even aware that there was a rivalry. It was like I ended up finding that quite charming.
Yeah.
But they were completely oblivious to the fact that they were hated. Just got on with their business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of coach stuff, carry on. But
Course.
They weren't like, oh, yeah, no, we hate them too. It's just like,
absolute bastards.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's funny.
I guess the answer is none of it matters.
It'll all disappoint you.
Just like this T20 World Cup.
Understand? Yeah. Cricket gives you little satisfactions. And once you learn that, you develop a piece.
So find the level where you think you can score 450s in a summer.
Yes. Whatever that is.
Imagine hitting 450s in a summer. Fuck, that'd be good.
Hey, this is the thing, like, because there's all these levels beneath grade cricket. I only learnt that after I stopped playing. When we did this show. People play these other levels.
They're talking about like Kanga cricket and like Milo cricket.
Yeah, that's right. Woolworths Blast.
Tip and run.
Yeah, that's right. Indoor cricket.
Tippity.
That's what they call it down here. That's what they call it down here. Tippity run. Fuck me dead. Hell, we'll never beat India with names like that.
Don't deserve to win shit.
I was talking to someone the other day, and they were like, I spent my whole life thinking that they had gone to, because this was a story I'd been told since childhood, that they were from Sydney grade cricket. They went to Perth to live for 2 years. They played seconds in Perth and made, in one game, hit 150 and took 6 for in a game. And I thought, that's unbelievable. And I just learnt recently, it wasn't grade cricket, it was just 2s, like for like some wheelie bin shit, right? It's like, but like the narratives that you can spin when you just end up going to play any level, and guys shouldn't do it here because you're going to get found out.
Yeah.
Go play at any level and you just say it's second grade. That's it. Score your 450s, be happy, live the delusion that you need to live. We all tell ourselves stories. Ask any cult. It's the foundation of any cult. You tell yourself a story, play on. Also, in that community, you'll be like deferred to for cricketing wisdom. Exactly. All you want to do is go to a place where you're one of the best in the team, and all of the social and emotional, cultural, spiritual trappings will follow. Just find the worst players,
but the best blokes possible.
Well, you end up. It's power.
Yep. Well, I hope you've enjoyed episode 273 of the Great Cricketer Podcast here. Thanks for joining us. As always, 3 big games to go in this World Cup. We'll be doing the match reviews for South Africa and Afghanistan, India and England, if it's that order. And then, of course, the World Cup final on Sunday night, Monday morning in Australia. One more main podcast to go. But, of course, Hall of Fame week on Patreon next week. So please do sign up and support TGC that way if that's what you want to do. And if you don't want to do it, then please don't do it. Thank you, Pezza.
Thank you, Ian.
See you later. Bye.